Hey guys, Mr. Reviews here. If you remember the last set of videos that I just did with my B-Day unboxings, that was a 4-part series. The last thing, a book that I was getting off eBay, obviously alongside all the games, which were parts 1 through 3. So part 4 was the book, of course. That wasn't supposed to arrive until around the 12th of December. It actually came on my birthday, which was an awesome surprise, on the 5th of November, and that's actually also when I made the video. I just never got around to uploading it, I guess. Obviously, my birthday, of course, I was sort of busy a bit, and then the day after I was playing, all the games. I really only played the PS2 version, of course, of Persona 4 that I got off eBay. That was really the only game I played from the about 2 weeks prior. I got everything as it came, as I explained in the series of videos, and I only really played Persona 4. Of course, having played through the game previously, we'll get to that later in this video, which is my recent purchases. My recent games episode, or number, whatever the hell I'm up to now. So let's get on with it. We'll start off with the earliest games that I got. Both of these I got for myself by selling some old stuff, some old TV shows that I didn't watch anymore, that I had on DVD at the secondhand store I always go to, CEX. Awesome place. They have shit tons of PS2 games, and amongst those I got 2 PS2 games for myself as sort of like an early Christmas present. This is about a week before Christmas, so I think that's that would have been about 3.5 weeks ago. I think I was looking at the date on the computer. I think it's about 3.5 weeks ago now. But those 2 games were, of course, had to get a non-platinum copy of Need for Speed Underground 2, the last Need for Speed game, which is exclusive to, the 6th generation of consoles, PlayStation 2, original Xbox, GameCube, in particular PS2 and Xbox. Those are Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, Underground 1, and Underground 2. All 3 of those games are exclusive to, the PS2, PS2 original Xbox, GameCube era. Underground 1, I'm pretty damn sure, was on the GameCube, and I think Underground 2 was as well. Not sure about Hot Pursuit 2, though. So yeah, but on PS2 and Xbox, original Xbox only, is where you can get Hot Pursuit 2, and PC, of course, Hot Pursuit 2, and Underground 1 and 2. And this was the only game missing out of those 3 that I didn't have. And of course, the majority, if not all of my games, being non-platinum, non-classics, non-whatever the fuck, I had to get this when I saw it. Hell friggin' yeah, now my PS2 Need for Speed collection is pretty much complete. I still need to get the PS2 version of Pro Street, but really, who gives a shit? And next up, I'm a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan, by far. And as bad as this is, and this would have to be the worst version, of course, on the PlayStation 2, as I just said a little bit before that, even though the game is pretty bad, I just had to have it for the collection. That's Shadow the Hedgehog on the PlayStation 2. It's a bad game, but it's not too bad. I mean, I do like the feel of it. I mean, it's not very Sonic-y. It's not very reminiscent of any of the Sonic franchise whatsoever in terms of the tone, in terms of setting, everything. The feel of the game and the world. But it's its own thing. As much as us Sonic fans do kind of, some people sort of say like, it's not a Sonic game though, it's a Shadow game. If you do look at it as a Shadow game, and he's trying to be all edgy, sort of shit like that, and Sega was trying to be all edgy and shit, they kind of pulled that off, but they epically failed at the same time. I don't know. I like the game for what it is, but it's a bad game, so keep that in mind. Honestly, if you're not even if you're a Sonic fan, really, I wouldn't necessarily suggest picking it up. As I said, I'm a Sonic fan, and I just kind of want to own as much Sonic games as I can, so Shadow the Hedgehog, I was like, yeah, hell yeah, why not? I mean, it was like $5. And of course, this game actually went PlayStation Platinum, and the only other copies at the same store, CEX, were Platinum copies for a long time. And then they got this one in when I went to get Underground 2, and I was like, yeah, So there's those out of the way. Now, I can't remember exactly what order I got these next two games in, but I'm going to go with this one first. This one's from eBay, and because the other game has something else entirely attached to it, so I'll get into that in a second. I'll just get this out of the way. One of my favorite games in the series, if not possibly my favorite in the series, the actual version of the game that Neversoft themselves actually made, which is only the PS2, the PlayStation 3, and of course this one, Xbox 360 copy of Tony Hawk's Proving Ground. I friggin' love the Tony Hawk series in general. Huge fan. Awesome games. Proving Ground is just killer. You know, I love the open world of Proving Ground. I love the Baltimore, DC, Philadelphia area that they have in this game. Of course, everything condensed, you know, typical open world video game shit. All three cities are literally connected and they're really close together. Unrealistic as shit. I'm not that ignorant. But yeah, you know, I do like the open world, how they set it up and how it's displayed. The three cities are displayed and shown off in the game. I do like it. The entire soundtrack is killer, you know, or at least, you know, soundtracks make or break a game for me, especially racing games and I guess you'd say sport games. I believe it is a sport game, but it's what, you know, it's arcadey and you build up high combos and shit. That's the whole point of Tony Hawk, really. That's all you do, basically. That's half the, you know, that's half the game. That's half the fun. And the soundtrack in that case really does make or break the game, and at least half of the soundtrack I can listen to all day. Proving Ground is just absolutely killer. And as I said, I'm not 100% sure whether I would say Proving Ground PS3 360 version by Neversoft is my favorite game in the series or not. It's the last game in the series that they made themselves, before of course going on to this game displayed down here, Guitar Hero 3. And ever since Guitar Hero 3 they made the entire series up till Warriors of Rock, which has been the last game so far for Guitar Hero, if not last game ever, who knows. And most recently, apparently Neversoft made one of the new modes in Call of Duty Ghosts. Fuck Call of Duty. Seriously guys, stop paying Activision for that shitty game. Stop buying Call of Duty and they will actually start making the series innovative and new, as opposed to the same fucking game every friggin' year. I know they do change some things, especially the multiplayer. That's all anyone buys it for and plays it for. But seriously, stop buying the game for a while, for ages, for the next few years. Stop friggin' buying it, and they will literally change the whole game. They will give us a totally new friggin' thing. Call of Duty will be completely new. If you give a shit about it and know what's best for the series in the long run, you would fucking do it. But people are stupid retards, and they decide to buy that Call of Duty shit. I hope you Call of Duty freaking family doesn't come on here watching this video and starts flaming. Of course you're gonna. But let's get on to better games. Stop talking about that stupid Call of Duty shit. So, it's 2014. So it's about, what, the second or if not third week now of 2014. And thinking that these games are not going to be delayed, this year, even though they might only come out in Japan, that doesn't really matter since all major review companies, so therefore I'm going to sort of do it myself. The year that any game comes out, even if it's only in Japan, and it still takes another year or so, which might be this, may be the case in particular here, but even still, the year it actually launches in Japan, they normally count that as the year it did come out, even though it technically didn't come out for them, you know, in the United States or anywhere else, or here in Australia or whatever, or Europe. But regardless, I hope it goes worldwide, but even if it's only in Japan this year, 2014, technically this year is the fucking year of Persona. I fucking love Persona, seriously. One of the best franchises ever, in my opinion, best JRPG series ever. I do like Final Fantasy, pretty cool, you know, it's a great series. Personally, in terms of me getting involved and getting personally attached, I love Persona a shit ton more than Final Fantasy, so sorry guys. But yeah, Persona for the win. This year we have, of course, and I need to get these two systems. For the Nintendo 3DS, I'm going to get a 3DS XL, of course. None of that 2DS bullshit. I'm going to get a Nintendo 3DS XL. Of course, on the 3DS, you can get a shit ton of other games like Shin Megami Tensei 4, the fourth main series game, as well as a bunch of, I think there's a bunch of Devil Summoner games on it as well as all of the Atlas produced, like Devil Summoner, etc., games that are on the Nintendo DS. So, and there's a bunch of games I remember playing on the DS that I will definitely rebuy once I get a 3DS. That's for damn sure. For that comes out a true spin-off of the Persona series, Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth. Then, of course, we have PS3. I no longer own a PS3 anymore. Of course, you guys probably know that if you watch my videos. And obviously, I will need to rebuy a PS4. PS4. I need one. And an Xbox One. I'm going to rebuy a PS3. 4, of course, I'm not 100% sure yet. But Persona 4 Arena, of course, that came out technically 2012. Came out this year, last year now, 2013 for us, here in Australia, at least. Persona 4 Arena came out for both the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. The longest time ago, quite a while back, Persona 4, the Ultimax Ultra Suplex Hold, long-ass title. Persona 4 Arena in Japan was actually called the Ultimate in Mayonaka Arena, so they'll probably shorten it again. It'll probably be Persona 4 Ultimax or Persona 4 Suplex. Those are probably my guesses, either or, if not the full title. Ages ago, I remember seeing a thing at the bottom of the official Japanese website, of course, saying both PSN and a thing saying Xbox Live. But since then, currently at the moment, it's got the system specs at the very bottom of the page now. And it only says arcade and PlayStation 3. It doesn't say anything about 360. And of course, if you play Persona 4 Arena, if you're looking into Persona 4 Ultimax, we'll call it, obviously the game itself, the story, characters, all that good stuff, the music is of course by Atlas, by the Persona team, all those good guys. The gameplay itself, the actual fighting game, why I love Persona 4 Arena, why I love Ultimax, what I'm seeing so far, and the new characters and all that jazz, is that all the gameplay stuff, the actual fighting game mechanics, is made by the legends behind Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, Arc System Works. And the fact that I'm not 100% sure if it's 2014, and again, I'm not sure if that would, in that case, be only Japan, or if it would be worldwide release. But the third game, and I'm not sure if it's going to be the final game in terms of story, in the BlazBlue series, can't remember the subtitle for it, annoyingly, but the next BlazBlue game, even though the entire series has been on PS3 and 360, is only coming to PlayStation 3. So it doesn't surprise me if the new Persona 4 game only comes to PS3, Persona 4 fighting game, Ultimax, ends up coming only to PS3, since Arc System Works is technically making the game, and their new fighting game, the new BlazBlue, is only coming out on PS3. Last time I checked at least, don't think they've, unless they've heard the fan outcries and have decided to put it on 360 after all, not 100% sure. But for now, as far as I'm aware, the new BlazBlue is only coming out for PS3, so I wouldn't be surprised if Persona 4 Ultimax is again also only on PS3. So there's that game for the PS3. Definitely confirmed. Of course, no big surprise, the next main series game, of course, is exclusive, of course, to PS3. Remembering that Persona 3 came out in 2000, or at least here in Australia, by Australia release years, Persona 3 came out in for PlayStation 2 in 2007 or 2008. So the PS3 was already out, and then Persona 4 came out in 2009. I don't know if that's 2009 in Japan. Maybe it was 2010 here in Australia. I don't know. I think it was 2009 though, here in Australia as well. In fact, for Japan, it might have been 08 or something. I'm not sure. But the years I remember from the back covers of Persona 3, Persona 3 FES, and Persona 4 for PS2 is 07, 08, and 09. So between that 3-year span, those PlayStation 2 games came out. So of course the same thing is happening. Of course, like now that the new generation of consoles is out, it's now obviously a hell of a lot cheaper to make games on PS3 compared to, back toward the beginning of the generation. Same thing with the PS2, hence why those Persona games are sort of so late, I guess. Alice isn't exactly the richest company around. They are a very low-budget studio. So a lot of their stuff, is made on like a cheap budget. And one of those things would, one of the things behind all that stuff would be, of course, their games are going to come out fairly late in the generation, when it's cheaper to produce the games and release them on the system. So of course, PS3 itself not going to get a PS4 release, I highly doubt. But PlayStation 3, Persona 5, can't friggin' wait. Like, the next Persona main series game, awesome stuff. Can't wait to see some new characters. Can't wait to take the role of a new main character and all that jazz. It's going to be great. So, of course, Persona 4 Ultimax and Persona 5 for PS3. Lastly, the last game coming out is a music rhythm game called Persona 4, of course continuing Persona 4 and all their characters. Persona 4 Dancing All Night. 4, of course, the best handheld of all friggin' time. One of my favorite handhelds. Personally, I would personally say best handheld of all time. Oh, it's really hard to say that. Game Boy Advance for the win. But the hell yeah, the PlayStation friggin' Vita. The Vita is such a badass system. Let's take a look at that badassery. Hell yeah. Portable PlayStation 3 / Xbox 360. That's what I'm talking about. Games of that quality on the go. That's why the PS Vita is the shit. And as I said, I needed to buy all 3 systems for the year of Persona, or just for when those Persona games are coming out. One of those systems being the Vita. About on Friday. Christmas was on a Wednesday last year. I've got to actually start getting to saying last year now. So Christmas that just passed was on a Wednesday. Then the following day, at least here in Australia, we have Boxing Day, which is a public holiday. The following day, so Thursday. Then on Friday, everything was back open, all the stores and all that. And I went to CEX, the place where I get all my secondhand stuff. And I have bought, this is the 3rd Vita that I've owned. The first one I ever bought, of course, brand new from EB Games. Second one I ever bought, secondhand, Wi-Fi. All of these, including this one, Wi-Fi only, not non-3G models. Second one I bought, of course, was a Wi-Fi only model from CEX. And this one, again, a Wi-Fi only model from CEX. Yeah, that day, my mum finally got caught up to the sort of current day and got a new smartphone, not an iPhone or any of that friggin' overrated bullshit. Not an iPhone. It was like, it's totally, you would have never heard of it. Whatever, not going to get into it. But that phone itself cost $190. These Wi-Fi only PS Vitas at CEX cost $195. And I guess because I sell so much shit there and buy so much shit there, and on top of this is the second Vita that I'm buying from them, they have no idea if I still have the other one, or if just buying a second Vita for the hell of it, or buying it for someone else, maybe someone else in the family, who knows. They're not aware of anything like that in particular. So in that regard, wow, now I'm having a mental blank. So in that regard, they have no idea, if I'm buying technically, which I did, re-buy a Vita, or if I'm just buying a second Vita. Regardless, so it's normally $195. The manager gave me her staff discount, which is only $20 off the system, but still, that's from $195 down to $175, which every dollar counts. That's for damn sure. So I got it for $175 compared to $195, which is pretty damn awesome. And that was probably the deciding factor into me getting the system. And of course, conveniently, I went over to the mall, of course, to put the money into my bank account to get Tony Hawk's Proving Ground for 360, which I bought off eBay. put the money into my account to pay for it. And on top of that, I went there to also buy, and I'm glad I did, the last copy in Sydney at a JB Hi-Fi store. This being said, EB Games, all their shit, they do not leave shrink wrapped, especially after a game is a certain amount old. This game came out in the beginning of 2013 for the Vita. So there's no way that EB Games would have any brand new copies sealed in its shrink wrap still from the manufacturer. This was the last copy, according to JB Hi-Fi system, the last copy in any JB Hi-Fi in the system in all of Sydney, and it was brand new and sealed in shrink wrap of course, the epicness that is Persona 4 Golden. The incredibly awesome, updated remake. It's not really a remake, but the updated HDified PS2 graphic. You know, it is the PS2 graphics still. It's been done up in HD, so technically HD remake / extra content, so like a director's cut, and just a heap of new shit, as well as I said, being an upscale. You know, just like any HD collection out there. A PS2 game done in HD graphics, since the Vita is a HD system itself. You know, as far as I'm aware, it's a HD system. Maybe it's like sub HD or some shit. I don't know, but whatever. Let's not get into specifics. You know, but it has those sort of HD remake styled PS2 graphics. They'd be done up dramatically. Yeah, and I got it for a damn good friggin' price. I mean, this was supposed to be $28. Got it for $25, even though it was brand new and friggin' sealed. And on top of that, $25 brand new and sealed for the physical copy of the game, the case, of course. Pretty much every Vita game does not come with a manual. Oh shit, the game's not in there. It's in my Vita, of course. This is the only physical game that I own for the Vita at the moment. I do have other Vita games, but they're downloaded on the system through the PlayStation Network. But yeah, like a lot of Vita games, it only comes with, of course, the cover itself, the case and cover, and the game itself. There's like no manual, it's all on the card. You can access it from your Vita when you're on the live area page for it, tab, whatever it is. So yeah, Persona 4 Golden, love this game. When I had my second Vita, this was the reason I bought my second Vita. I originally purchased... that was the game that I bought my second PlayStation Vita for. Because, of course, all the glowing, epic reviews that I heard for Persona 4 Golden itself, and on top of that, of course, the best podcast ever, Podcast Beyond, IGN's PlayStation team. You know, Greg Miller, Colin Moriarty, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Greg Miller, Colin Moriarty, and Andrew Goldfarb. 3 best guys over at IGN. All those guys, well, at least in particular, Andrew Goldfarb, Greg Miller, had been playing the game, said it was really awesome. I take their friggin' opinions to heart because they are friggin' awesome guys and they know what they're friggin' talking about. And on top of that, the only Persona games that I had played at that point were one of the reasons why I purchased that second Vita and purchased Persona 4 Golden is because I bought Persona 4 Arena for the 360, and finding out that the story mode of that continued on from Persona 4 story, like literally followed on. It is a sequel to Persona 4. I was like, okay, I have to play that game. Hey, if I'm going to get it anywhere, you know, and easily be able to find it, I'm going to get it on PS Vita, aren't I? And of course, besides all the HD, doing it up in HD, all of the new content, of course, being on the Vita, just like the PS3, it has trophies. So, of course, you can get trophies in Persona 4 now, which is badass. So I wanted to play Persona 4 and get up to date in the story before going into Persona 4 Arena. And of course, the only game that I played thoroughly before that was the epicness that is Persona 3 Portable for the PSP, and I actually played it on a PSP. But of course, I do have it backwards compatible for the Vita, so that's great. So yeah, that's that game, and a long-ass discussion later. But I did want to talk about the whole year of Persona thing, and here it is. It's in this video. So that's kind of out of the way. Alright, let's get on to the last thing. The last, what is this, 5 PS2 games that I bought. 2 of these were at the same time, and 3 of them were today. So, the first 2, which I went and found, and I was like, holy shit, I need to buy this shit for, just pure nostalgia from playing playing these games in the arcade, and just absolutely loving them, and I never got past stage 1 in either of these games in the arcades. I'm talking about the epicness that is Namco's Time Crisis 2 and 3, re-released on PlayStation 2. Time Crisis 2 itself came out before the PS2 ever came out on in arcades, and it's been was re-released on the PS2 with updated graphics, more cutscenes, of course, for the story mode. Typical kind of arcade sort of a game. It's a bad story. It's very minimal. It's terrible voice acting, but it's really cool. You just gotta love it. Everything, the combination of the setting, the story is not very prevalent as it is, and the music made Time Crisis 2 a killer game, and I absolutely love it. Finally got through the whole thing, which is awesome. And of course, next up, Time Crisis 3. I'm only really just starting to play it. I just did decide to get through Time Crisis 2 first, and I've been playing nothing but Time Crisis 2 because, I don't know, I've had technically the most nostalgia is for Time Crisis 3, the first stage of Time Crisis 3. But, it's the one that's most common, at least to me, in arcades, compared to Time Crisis 2. But I just had such a better time playing through Time Crisis 2, and I haven't finished Time Crisis 3. I would say right now, Time Crisis 2 is fucking better than Time Crisis 3 by far, and I'm so glad just that I got both of these games, number one, but I'm definitely glad that I got Time Crisis 2. Such a great game. They were $5 each. Kind of expensive, not too bad, but they're pretty damn good. Of course, next up, the 3 games that I got today. 2 of them by Namco, and also using, also light gun arcade games that use, which are both compatible with the G-Con 45, which was released for the original Time Crisis for PlayStation 1, and of course G-Con 2, which was released specifically because of Time Crisis 2 for PlayStation 2. These 2 games were in a preview pamphlet thing that came in the case for Time Crisis 3. It has a bunch of other games by Namco that are coming out. They had they had Tekken 4, of course I already own Tekken 4, and a bunch of other games, 2 of which were also other light gun games, those being Vampire Knight and Ninja Assault. These are also both, as I said, light gun games, and of course they're both from the arcade and published, distributed, shown as basically under Namco for publisher. Vampire Knight itself actually has, right there on the back, Sega. So as I said, these 2 are, light gun games from the arcade, and at least for consoles, they are ported by Namco. Not so in the case of Vampire Knight, I would assume that it was Sega themselves, if not somebody under Sega, a developer through Sega, if not owned by Sega, who made the game. Ninja Assault, not 100% sure about. There's no one on the cover besides Namco, so I think Ninja Assault might have been made by Namco themselves. I have no idea. Whatever. These 2 games are both published, and both published under Namco, and they're also light gun arcade games. So I'm like, hell yeah, why not? Vampire Knight was $5, and of course this game, Ninja Assault, along with the next game, were only $2, which is hell good for an entire arcade experience where you basically pay like $1 just for a go. That's pretty damn good. $2 for this, as well as $2 for this game, Guncom 2, for the PlayStation 2. I have no idea where Guncom 1 is. Maybe it's a PS1 game. If it's on PS2, I gotta find that shit. That being said, I haven't played any of these 3 games yet because I just got them. I've really only just gotten home now. Let's see. This game came out, well, the latest year on the back of the box is 2004. So the first game might have come out on PS2. Not 100% sure about it, and I'm currently recording this video, so I'm not exactly gonna take time right now to look it up. But yeah, that is all the games that I got recently. Let's just go through that again, since this was a pretty damn long and drawn out video. Let's go through all that shit. Need for Speed Underground 2, Shadow the Hedgehog, Tony Hawk's Proving Ground for 360, Persona 4 Golden, Time Crisis 2, and its sequel, Time Crisis 3, Vampire Knight, Ninja Assault, and Guncom 2. Those are the games I've purchased recently, and technically a system, PlayStation Vita. It's already in there, and I put it back into its pouch and all that. Yeah, that's everything gaming related that I purchased recently. Until the next video, guys, this is Mr. Ace Reviews. See you next time.